All right, guys. Um, so this is the drawing that we're going for, right? This type of drawing, the exploded axonometric, which technically it's an isometric, but we will not get into that right now. For simplicity's sake, we'll just call it that right now. All right. Now, there's primarily three components to this. Okay. There is an image component to it. There is line drawings, very much like you guys worked on your logo. And there is text and arrows. Right? So those three primary information. Right now, I'll provide this for you guys. I have this outline. Right. So a render image, exported line work, and arrows for annotating. Okay. Now, I want to show you guys how to develop one, right, in a very, again, just like everything. And again, I do want to bring up, right, that for the renderings and everything that we're doing, I'm just showing you guys the basic of it. Later on, you're going to find out much more tools about this, other softwares even, perhaps, right? But I'm showing you guys at least, how to get through your first classes in architecture school. Okay, and the way that we begin this drawing, right, it's on Rhino. Okay, let me set my standard views right here. So the first thing that you should do, it's make a copy of your drawing, right? And unfortunately, let me see, can I bring this back? The first thing that you should do is make a, let's see if I can go back. There we go. Back in time, because I had it all nicely set up. There we go. So this is a hypothetical project right here, right? So there's a logo right there. There's a sign, and this sign would be attached to the wall, right? And a number of you guys have that, right? I mean, a sign that, well, actually, a number of you guys have more than one sign, which is ideally what you want. And I was just talking to Raul about that. I mean, you want one for the building, and then you want at least another one for the sidewalk, right? Kind of for the people that are on the street, right? Because rarely, right? I mean, you might be walking with your cell phone like that, but rarely you walk up like that, right? I mean, with your neck looking up, right? Like, kind of like walking like that. That's not, natural, right? You walk, hopefully looking in front of you, right? So you want something that is projecting out of the building. So that's this type of sign, but you can do any type of sign. Okay, so the first thing, as we have right here, right, is that you want to make a copy. And right here, you want to make a copy of your sign outside of your building, right? So you want to move it, right? You want to make a copy, and I have it right here. Of course, I don't have a building like you guys do, but I can do this right here, and just move it out of the way like that. Okay, that's the first step right here. I'm gonna zoom select it on this guy right there. Let's see, what's the next step? Step number 2 is you want to group objects by type, face, and axis. There's this artist, and right now I can't remember the name, but I did find some of his work online. I don't know if anyone has seen some of these sculptures right here, right? Particularly this one, right? What is the purpose of this drawing? Well, you're trying to showcase, right, and to, showcase all the components that are inside or that make part of this signage. Much like this beetle, right? I mean, for any object, right? We know how it looks from the outside, right? But we don't always get to see what's on the inside, right? Unless you take it apart, right? And that's pretty much what we're doing with this, right? We're taking apart our sign, and much like this little car right here is being taken apart, right? Each little piece, right? So this is an exploded um, perspective, if you want to call it, right? So that's why groups are great for us, right? And that's what we should be doing. So this is the sign like this, right? And I'm going to start with this axis right here, right? And as you can see, right, I have my little fasteners right there, kind of like screws. Also, I have right here on the inside, I downloaded some a little model of some LED lights right there. I go to render view. They look like that. I don't know if you guys have seen or are familiar, right, with LED strips. It's kind of like what's used a lot nowadays. And all of that, believe it or not, I actually got it from at least those components from the 3D warehouse, right? LED light strip. I think I did another search back here of those screws right there. Concrete fastener or metal. I think is the one that I downloaded. Right. So again, which is something that is representative. They're so tiny that you will, in this case, they're so tiny that, and this is a wood one. I was looking for a metal one. It's okay, right? So you don't have to model it. You can, right? You guys model quite a bit of things on your with your training manual, right? But again, now that you guys are familiar with a 3D warehouse, you know, I mean, and you can use it, okay? So again, as I zoom into this, right, this is made out of different components, right? This plate right there would be attached to the face of the building. Have these members right there that are connection now into such plate and into the frame. This is the first part of the frame right there, which then holds the box that holds the logo, which then the logo gets applied onto it. Okay, so very simple, right? Step number 2, we move stuff. And by axis, I mean using the gumball. Okay, so ready? So here I go. I'm going to move this 12 inches and do this in intervals and in numbers that you control. Right? Sometimes the inclination could be to just start moving stuff like this, right? I mean, kind of, you know, by eye or not really with the number of mine, but I really recommend that you do it with the number in case you need to go back and just you have more control over your drawing. Okay, so I select that object right there. I'm going to use my gumball arrow right there. I'm going to move this 12 inches to the left, and I do that. Now I have those screws right there loading. Okay, I am still going to move them half a distance between this component and that component, which is 6 inches. Okay, so I go ahead and move this. Now minus 6 inches. And I move it right there. Okay, now I graph that one. So for example, this object and this object, right, are both on the same plane, right, and they form part of the same layer. Think about it as layer, right? So I'm going to group them. So I type group. Now I select that group, this group, and this other group, and I move everything again 6 inches. Right? And that's how I start getting my spaces in between objects. Ready? So I select now again this for objects, and I, guess what? Move it again. All right, 6 inches, like that. Okay, so I have worked on all the objects that are on the red axis. Okay, now it's time to work with the objects that are on this axis, right, which is the green, right? So we have the logo and that screen. Let's start with that right there. All right, so I'm going to select that logo right there. I'm going to move it now 12 inches, all right, minus. So we do that right there. And I select that one right there, and I move it minus 6 inches, right? And I have there. Now I can start seeing into the box, right? And I actually place it right here on the edges, right? So you can see the objects. So far, so good? Good. I think in this case, I forgot to group the, or actually I did it on the other model right there. So I'm going to go ahead and select the LED lights right there. And do what? Huh? Well, yes, but first they should be into a group. All right, good. So I group them. All right. So that's what I mean. Again, I suggest that you do the grouping part, you know, before you start doing this, so that you know, again, you just click on one and you select all of them, rather than again having to do what I was doing right now. Click, 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 click. Time consuming. All right. So now I can select the lights, the acrylic panel, and the logo cutout right there, and I move this again minus 6 inches. All right. I start getting those objects right there. Okay, now the lights, I only have one set of lights which are centered on that frame right there. So I'm just going to select these two right there. I move them now 12 inches on the positive, right? And I just move back that one minus 6 inches, right? And I get that right there. Now, as you can see, also in these corners, what do I have? Yes, right, the screws, right, the fasteners. So those, I think, have already been grouped. Yes, those have already been grouped. So I can select that right there, select that other group, that group and this group and move it one more time. And I think it is on the negative, so 6 inches right there. Right? So as you can see, right, that's what that there's the explosion part on the axon in the exploded axonometric. Right. So as a matter of fact, there's actually fasten or there should be fasteners on both ends. Right. So I can do a mirror right here, and I can mirror those fasteners on this axis. Right? And now they've been mirrored right there. Right? Can you guys see them right there? That other group. Right? There's screws right there. So I select those. They're on the same plane as the acrylic sheet. Right? So you should see it by categories. Right? So all the screws go on one layer right there. The acrylic panel goes on another layer. The logo goes on another layer. Right? So I select these two objects right here. Move it 6 inches. And we have that beautiful drawing right there. And let me move this a little bit out of the way, right? Kind of like that. So far so good. All right, guys, good. All right, so let's see where we're at. I just want to move this out of the way because we're gonna need that position right now. So move group objects along their axis at equal intervals using Gumball tool. I did that. Now create a new layer, assign color, and drag construction lines from the point the object is located in space, which is usually the corners, to where the object belongs. What does that mean? Well, now I'm showing how these objects come together. You see, there is a line, and this is the layer, by the way. Right? So I create a new layer called construction, give it a color, and we're just going to draw lines. Okay, so I type line. Now, this little screw right there belongs to this opening right there. I'm drawing a line, right, to represent that. Very much like if you guys go to Target, actually, right, and you buy a little piece of furniture, right, and sometimes it comes with a diagram right there, how to put it together, right? That's what we're drawing right here. So I can copy this line right there. Technically, right, it should be from the center. From right now, I'm just trying to move along faster right here, right, to show that, right? So it shows that those screws rather, I'm sorry, go in there. Okay, so I can copy that, right, from there, and I place it everywhere where those openings occur. I think I'm snapping to the wrong areas right there. I'm trying to do this a little bit faster right there just to show you guys the logic. The most important thing is to show you guys the logic behind this. Okay, so I have done that right there. Now, this little pieces right there, right? So again, I draw a line, right? These guys right there go all the way into the metal plate. So I can draw it right there. Let's say like in this case, right, that I went over a little bit. I can just select the point, and again with my gumball, right, move it. So it's not allowing me. There we go. Right, let's say there. Okay, works like that. There should be another line that kind of works like that. I select the point right there, and then move it somewhere that it's touching the frame right there. I can copy this from all of these corners, right? That corner, that corner, that corner, and that corner right there. Right click to enter. I can select all of that right there, copy, paste it right there. And then again, I can copy that. And then maybe kind of show it like that. And I can select all of these lines right there, type points on, select all of those points right there, use Gumball to extend them. Right? So again, you're trying to represent, right, where technically all of those objects meet, right, before the explosion. Okay, so that's the diagrammatic part of this drawing, right? We can continue. We can do now a line from this corner to that corner. Copy, right, from there to there to there to there. Right click, copy all of this, and we bring it down here. Right click. Okay. Now we worked on all of the ones on the green, on the red axis, right? Let's call that the Y. Now let's work on the ones on the X, right? So that they look like this. Right? You can see that I have those objects like that. It's the same idea. For example, here on the logo, you don't have to be doing all of them, right? Again, the idea is that this is a diagram. It's a representative drawing, right? So, pick a few. Right? So again, I can select that line right there or that point right there. And as soon as, and if I do this on multi-view right here, and I zoom in into this side view, all right, I can make sure that that point is where it should be, which is probably somewhere right there. Okay, once I draw one, I can then type copy, right, and copy it from that end right there, to that, there, for example. You can select some other ones right here, right there, right, all the way until I have this drawing right here, right. So as you can see, right, I have those lines right there. And so again, I have done the explosion. Now I do the diagrammatic part of how each piece comes together, right? In theory, right? If you were to assemble it together, where those pieces should fit. Okay, so that was step 4, right? Create a new layer, assign it a color, and draw the construction lines from the point of the object, from where the object is located in space, which is usually the corners, to where the object belongs, into the whole assembly. Next, set up isometric view. I'll label it. Set isometric view. Rhino already has a setting for this. All right, so I'm gonna do a selection, zoom selected, and if you go right here, or you can go, I think I wrote it rather on the PowerPoint, set view, isometric, and we're doing a southeast. Notice how my screen is gonna change, right? I'm gonna start looking, the lines are gonna be straight now, right? Now it looks kind of like um, Tetris, or what's that other game? The one with cubes, Minecraft or something like that. Ah, or I don't know. Huh? Minecraft. Anyway, that one. Anyway, Legos, sure. Anyway, right? But this is now your ISO view, right? Notice that this is now, all of these lines are parallel to each other, right? So we're setting up the view. Again, just like you're doing with your renderings, I'm framing it, right? Somewhere, let's say there, right? And just so that I don't lose this view and I'm gonna need it again, save it, okay? Remember how to save it. View, set view, name views, save, exploded Axon, and I'll call this 1 p.m. That way, as I rotate, and maybe I lose that view, I can just double click right here and I come back to it. Okay, that was step 5. Set isometric view, set view, isometric southeast, and then we also did steps number 6, which was save the view. Save the view, set view, name views, save as, exploded Axon. Okay. Now, the fun part, right? Generating line work using Make2D. Have we worked with Make2D in this class? Apparently not. Okay, good. All right. It's a really fun command. It's very helpful, and that's what we're going to use, right? Because, again, going back to the slide right here, we need 3 things, right? We need an image, we need lines, and we need text and arrow. Now, Rhino generates for us the line work. So I go back to my save view, exploded Axon, and I type the command, which is Make2D. That's the magical command right there. Make2D, enter. Now I follow the prompt right there on your command line. Select objects to draw. Okay. Select these objects right here, which are the ones that I want to draw, right? Which is all the components of the exploded axonometric, and we press enter. this box comes up. In this case, again, some of the settings might change depending on the project that you're doing, but let's talk about what we're doing for this one in particular. Let's maintain source layers right there. Sometimes you might want to show the hidden lines, and I'll click on it so that you see what happens right there. It shows the lines that are actually hidden, right? Which are the lines that we cannot see through the objects. So I'm going to uncheck that. Scene silhouette helps, right? It's that thicker line right there. For those of you guys that have been doing the Axons or ISOs in your studio classes, you guys will work with that outline line. The viewport rectangle, I'll draw that one just to have a frame for it, and group output. All right, so we hit OK. So Rhino is processing right there, and out of a 3D model, it generates a 2D model, a 2D drawing, I'm sorry. All right. So step 7, go to top view, zoom selected, type group. And that's important, right? So I go to top view, zoom selected. Again, is this magnifying glass with the yellow centerpiece right there. Zoom selected, and I type group. All right. So I'll move it right here to the side, and I'll come back to my default views right here. You can see that this drawing right there is a 2D depiction of, again, a 3D object, right, which is actually right here. Much like, well, for your any drawing that you guys do, right? I mean, say freehand drawing, you're drawing one of the missions of El Paso or any building. It's a tangible 3D object. It's a real object, but you are depicting it on your 2D sketchbook, right? Just with lines. Okay, and the software can do that. Can do that for us, right? So that's the drawing right there. So we have our lines. Now let's generate our image. Okay, so we go back to that view of exploded Axon, and in this case, right, we're gonna go the nice route, right? And our view is gonna be a render view. All right, so I can go to a render preview. I already assigned some materials to it. Right, there's some reflection and translucency right there on this white plexi. I need to look into this. The lights are too bright right there, but I went ahead and rendered it anyway. So go ahead and render your Axon. I'm not gonna wait for it, right? Because I already have it right here, right? So it came out something like that. Yeah. So far so good. Okay. Now we need to put them together. All right. We're gonna put the lines on top of this 3D image. Okay. So I'm gonna close this right here and see how we're doing with their outline right there. Exporting images. All right. So we did that. Go to the save Axon. That's why it's really important that you save your views. I went to my save view and render, save image file. So you run the render, you save it. Now let's export the lines. And again, very simple. We go to the top view, select the work or the line work, and we type export. Enter. This is the raw file, so I'm just gonna call it again export. Export 1 p.m. Now there's 3 important things right here, as always, right here with this window: location, file name, and the most important one for us in this case is the file type. Right? What kind of file this is? Right? Location for right now, it's on my drive. The file name export 1 p.m. The type, by default, you're gonna have a Rhino file, but we don't want a Rhino file. We want an Illustrator file. You see, that's the first option right there, Adobe Illustrator. All right, so I'll go ahead and save. This window comes out for right now. We should hit OK, and we minimize this right here. Let's go back to our outline. Right, so we exporting line work. Go to the top view. We did that. Select the group, which we got out of Make 2D. we did that, and we export. Again, location, I'm gonna bold that, name, and most importantly, type. Next, we open generate line work export on Adobe Illustrator. We go to the file on which you saved such export, and we open it. In this case, export 1 p.m. Double click on that. Okay. Now we're back on Illustrator. You guys remember about Illustrator? Right? It's like years, right? Seems like years right, that we've been working on this. So now, right, we have to merge these drawings. Okay. So open generated. Right, so I'll bold that right there. So open generated line work and export on Adobe Illustrator. Now on Adobe Illustrator, we want to bring in a rendering, and we do that by place. File, place, and we go to your rendering right here, and we place it. Okay. Now it's huge, right, compared to the line work. So I'm gonna make them the same size for right now, and I scale them in this way, right, like that. Let's see if we have luck right there, and if they match, right? Now don't see my lines. Why? Huh? No, because they're already drawn. But they're yeah, correct, exactly. They're on the back of the image, right? So how can I do that? Layers. All right, let's create a new layer. Call this render. Select the image right there and dump that object onto that layer. Now I changed the layer, but I still don't see my lines, right? Because again, layer order matters. So I grab that layer and bring it all the way to the bottom. All the way to the bottom. And there it goes. Render copy. What do I have to renders? There we go. I don't know where I have to copy. Let me delete this one right there because we don't need it. And just rename that. Okay. So there you have it, guys. Except that it's not quite matching. All right, so we have to help out a little bit. And even what what I'm gonna do. I don't need all of this gray space right there. So before I actually move it or slice it underneath, I'm gonna crop it. Remember how to do this with the clipping tool, I'm sorry. All right, so I draw an object, right? Select the object that I just drew, hold shift and select the image. Anyone remember the right, Control 7, right? Or PFF, rather. Almost forget, yeah. Right, so I cropped there, right, because I don't need all of that other information, right, all the background, and I place it right there. Now here, right, just the game is to match, right? I'm trying to match the rendering. I'm gonna delete now this frame right there so that it matches, and I think I need to enlarge it a little bit more. There we go. And I did a poor quality render, but because I wanted to get it out quickly. But there you go. All right, guys. So far, so good. So let's recap. All right. Open Adobe Illustrator. Right. Place. Right. That's the important object right there. Place the rendering image and place from the board. Resize the rendering image to match the Make 2D. Right. So match. That's the important, and resize. To match the 2D work, place the rendering image underneath the line work by ordering your layers. Next, we're going to color code the line work. And in this case, we're just going to have two types. All right. We have construction lines are going to be colored and dashed. And the rest of the other lines are going to be black and solid. All right. You guys ready? So I already have a color, right, which is that pink color right there from Rhino, right? So that's this layer right here, right? You can see it. I'm gonna, right? So if I turn it off, you see that those lines go away, right? So they're already colored, and let me blow this up a little bit because the lines are very chunky. So right, there we go, and you can see that we can do a better job with our image now that it's a little bit larger. All right, so I select the lines. Remember, if you want to select all the objects that are within one same layer on Adobe Illustrator, that's what this little circle is for, right? So I select that right there. Notice that all of them get selected. They are already colored. Now we want to turn on dash. Right? And remember, that's under stroke, and we turn on dash line. And notice now that they are dashed. Yeah? All right, guys. So those have been taken care of. So I'm going to turn them off. I am going to turn off the background image as well. Now, what happens to all of these lines right here? Huh? They're gone? Oh, but we need them. What happens to those lines? Remember, we have two types of lines, which are, all right, we have construction lines, which are color and dashed, and we have the black and solid, all right? Because right now they have the color of the layers from Rhino, right? So what does that mean? I have to change them, right, Dylan? That's simple, man. That easy, so easy. It could be to do itself, right? And it's gonna draw itself for us. So we select those lines right there, all of that work, and we force the color to be black. Okay, another black. I can go back and turn on the construction lines. And again, this is already a neat drawing by itself, right? Just lines. And if we go ahead and turn on the image, right? I mean, again, these are layers of information that we don't get with the lines, right? Such as colors, textures, some of this reflection, and some of the qualities of the materials themselves, right? So that's the power of actually using an image and then the lines on top of them. Okay. Good. Right, guys, we're already on step 14. You guys are almost done with this drawing, right? One more thing, right? So we need to color, right? We did that. The next thing is text and arrows. The next and final thing, right? So we need to add text and arrows. And we do this, right? First, let's work with our lines, right? So now I forgot that we're going to add those arrows right there. So now we do need space. I'm going to bring this smaller, right? And in order to add your lines, which are for your arrows, let's use the pen tool. Right, this guy right there, or letter P in pen, and we draw a couple of lines. All right, so it go from there to there to there. Make sure that that one's parallel to the edge, and I hit escape. All right, now that's a line. We need to turn it into an arrow. Right? And remember that the settings for your arrows, they're under stroke. Well, first select the line. You go under stroke, and then you have this setting right here, arrowheads. it doesn't always match that the left one is the left side and the right one is the right one. I think it depends on how you draw them. Right? If you started from the left, right, it does behave that way. So, you know, you have your types of arrows right here. I personally like number 10, arrow number 10. So, right, tiny arrow number 10. But if it's too tiny, right, notice that there's a size right here, and right now it's under 100%. I can do 150, and it gets bigger, right? Or, you know, probably even it can hold like a 200, right? Something like that. That's right, Andy. That's right. Hombre, man. All right. So you got that right there. We can control copy, control paste. Select that right there. Those are the LEDs. Control copy, control paste. Maybe this other acrylic panel right there. Control copy, control paste. Now, adding arrows and leaders, what sometimes are called, it also has at least some basic rule of thumbs. Right? I'm going to turn on my rulers. Is that you want these lines right here to be parallel. And if you can, as much as you can, try to keep as well the angle of the arrow the same. Sometimes it becomes challenging because you're trying to go around some of your work. And number 3, you want this end to match. What do I mean? All of these guys right there. Now I'm using Command A, right, to adjust them. You want them to, and again, it's just part of craft, right? There's craft in model making. There's craft in the 3D modeling. There's also craft on architectural drawings. Right, so we bring that right there. This guy, for example, I am going to transform it, reflect. I'm going to flip it. Right, so I do that right there, and that's going to call out that. The only thing that I need to do now is extend this right here to there, and we delete that right there. So far, so good. What's the last thing that we need to do? Thank you, Raul. Right, add text. Right, these. Now you're calling out what things are. Okay, so you will draw a text box, which is letter T. Right, this is let's call these you know, polished steel case, and I can position it right there. I hold Alt, click and drag. LED lights, and let's leave these uppercase. Just leave them all uppercase. Next we have our, let's call this white acrylic sheet. Next we can have the logo cutout. Logo cutout. I think, how did I call it this morning? I called it mounted logo cutout. That sounds better. Mounted logo cutout. Okay, guys. And this, remember, this would be your exploded axonometric. And give this, oh, too much. And then bolt right here. Yours. Huh? It's just for the sign, right? It's just pick one of your signages right there. Let's see, that was the text and arrows. So create new layers, right? One layer that is text, one layer that is arrows. Create lines using the pen tool, right? Select the line, click on stroke so that you can add an arrowhead type. Use the text tool to add text boxes to call out signed components, and more specifically, right, the parts. right? And use all uppercases right there, right? And I'm gonna say this right here so that I can upload this for you guys. And now remember, we're not done yet, right? As you see in front of us right here in the class, right? The idea is that you now are composing a board, right? So you would copy this onto your final board, just like the examples that we have right here in the front of us, right? There's a rendering, and on the bottom, on top of it, there's a, and I'm pointing right here to the one on the right, right? There's an elevation on top of that drawing right there, and then there's a floor plan, and then you have another rendering to the left, right? That's the composition of the board, right? So this is just part of your overall board, and again, this is right here. This part right here, signage exploded axonometric, because remember, all of this right here, all of these components are going to go onto your final 24 by 36 board. Okay, so again, it's a fun, these are fun drawings, right? Very technical, but creative nonetheless. Question? I was just wondering what was on the board. You remember? Yeah, what? Yeah, we don't have floor plans. We don't have 2D elevations. You have a front view, but you know, it's a little bit different this time. You know, I know I went a little bit fast on this, but still, it's been already about 40 minutes on this, and you know, but I just wanted to show you guys right here during class. Again, I'm recording this, and I'll upload the kind of like the step by step on Blackboard. But and maybe questions before I pause the recording. Dylan, if you don't have a sign, you design a sign. Design a sign. Yes, because remember, you do want to have at least 2 signs, right? And I think maybe more. Maybe some of you guys are adding even graphics onto your windows or even inside of the building, right? Like Andy, you've been rendering, so maybe you can see some of that artwork on the walls. So you want one for the building outside, and then you want another one for the street, right? For the walking people. Oh no, and again no, and it won't necessarily be the same, right? It won't necessarily be the same. I'll go right now through some other examples right here. Maybe yours is just on the front, right? And I wanted to show this one because it's a little bit more complicated because you have 2 sides, right? You have again, and if you look at the 3D model, right? Even the not that right there, this one right here, the logo is inverted, right? Because you're looking at it from 2 different faces. Go to perspective right there, and I'll go to shade it, right? So again, this logo, right? Notice that is flipped from this one, just so that you can actually read it from both ends. Maybe, right, your logo, you only have a front face, right? That could be the case, and I'll show you guys an example right now. All right. All right. Well, I have this one right here, and this is another example, right? Um, you have again a rendering of that logo. This is an interior one, right? Line work of that as well, and this is the exploded accent, right? But again, in this case, it's just you only look at it from one side. So yes, definitely. And again, this is where I mean, you know, talk to me, right? Like, okay, so this is the signage that I would like to explode, right? How or you know, if you're not sure of what to include, let me know. Let me know so that I can help you with that. And again, not very complicated. Trying to keep it simple. I'm more interested in you guys learning the concept behind it. Again, as you can see from, for example, on Professor Moreno's right here to the right, I really encourage you guys to take a look at those boards that are right there. These guys early on the semester had to actually create one for their project. Right, so let's take a look at those right there, right, Ryan, Cynthia, right? Yes, yes. All right. So I'm gonna good questions. All right, guys. I'm going to